Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matthew Garrett. I have the privilege of being the director of Oregon's Department of Transportation, and we are here to celebrate a significant completion here. But with that said, I want you to know that we are honored today to begin our event with the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde drummers and singers starting us off. So with that, folks. Thank you very much. Well, I want to begin by thanking Governor Brown for joining us here today. We're also joined by federal guests, legislators, tribal representatives, mayors, and other dignitaries. It is important to note that there are important votes back in Washington, D.C. today preventing our federal delegation from being here with us at today's event. But they did send their personal staff, and we will hear from them a little bit later. I also want to do something that's a little off script. I want to thank the good folks of Newburgh, Dundee, in Yamhill County for the patience you have shown. Truly is the patience of Job, biblical in terms. But I want you to know it's not lost on the Oregon Department of Transportation that your unyielding support and your tireless hours of work with our professionals, hand in hand at times, is not lost on us, and we deeply appreciate it, and we applaud your perseverance. So we have a very full program today. We're going to hear from a lot of folks who have touched this special project. But before we get to our speakers, I'm going to give you a little context about this great project here. Back on August 29th, 2012, just a little further up the road, we had a groundbreaking. And at this groundbreaking, I shared that the bypass was a long time coming, and we can reach back literally, in some cases, 3 to 4 decades. But we celebrated a milestone on that day, and we celebrate a milestone today as we come to the completion of phase 1 of the Newburgh-Dundee bypass. Every step of this achievement certainly required sacrifice and commitment and passion from dedicated individuals from the local, state, tribal, federal partnership, as well as our private sector partners, as well as the business and civic leaders of the greater Yamhill County area here. Our state lawmakers showed great confidence and trust in the Oregon Department of Transportation by approving then the 2009 Jobs and Transportation Act. It directed $192 million toward this project. And today, we repay that confidence by delivering this project on time and under budget. Now give it up for that, on time and under budget. That's good stuff. Thank you. The phase 1 of the bypass includes almost 4 miles of brand new roadway that connects Oregon 99 West to the west side of Dundee and at Oregon 219. We rebuilt the Springbrook Road interchange that connects 99 west of Newburgh. The project includes 10 new bridges, one that is a half-mile long. You traveled over it coming here. And so we won't be able to open it today. As you saw, there's a little work being done to complete this thing up, to put the spit and polish on it. But we will open it soon, and it's my understanding we're going to hear exactly when we're going to open it up a little bit later. Now, this new ribbon of highway will significantly reduce congestion and the travel time that one accrues as you travel Oregon 99W through Newburgh-Dundee. It will reduce freight traffic in the downtowns of the cities, and it will increase safety for the traveling public. And make no mistake, we have delivered a project here in this bypass phase 1 that will enhance this region's transportation system. It will strengthen the economic health of the region and the state of Oregon, and it will improve the quality of life for our fellow Oregonians here. So with that as pretext, it is now my great honor and privilege to introduce the Governor of the state of Oregon, Kate Brown.
I know I need a shorter mic, but maybe not quite this short. Good afternoon, everyone, and holy smokes, there's a lot of folks here today, and that's a really good thing. I begin with the heartbreaking news of the Amtrak derailment in Washington State. My thoughts are with those involved with the accident, as well as the families impacted. I also want to acknowledge the valiant efforts of the first responders in this incident. I spoke with Governor Inslee this morning and assured him that Oregon stands ready to provide any needed assistance and support for the state of Washington with the accident up there. Today, however, we are here to celebrate the opening of the Newburgh-Dundee bypass. Yoo-hoo! I like to describe this as the communities that could. And I know some of you have been working on this project for 30 years. I heard 40 years when I came in, so congratulations. And as Matt mentioned, ODOT delivered completion of phase 1 of the project on time and under budget, and that's a very good thing. So we took a different approach on this project to accelerate the completion of phase 1 of the bypass by opening opportunities to several Oregon contractors. And I'd like to acknowledge the project's prime contractors who are with us today. Hamilton of Springfield, Wildish of Eugene, and K and Eek Extractors of Salem. Thank you all very much. Thanks to their good work and the savings from the first phase, we're ready to set our sights on phase 2. Yay! And a new connection to the Wilsonville Road that will further improve traffic flow. Today's grand opening is a long time in the making and is truly a community celebration. I know this project means a lot to this community, this region. September's Play on the Bypass Fun Run and Walk organized by ODOT, the City of Newburgh, Chehalem Park and Recreation District attracted nearly 300 residents alone. And rarely is the opening of a bypass greeted with such community fanfare, which is a testament to just how much this project is needed and wanted in this region. As Oregon's population has grown and as our economy continues to improve, we certainly know that congestion has increased, and so have demands for freight transportation. The Newburgh-Dundee bypass is a prime example of how strategic transportation investments can both ease congestion and spur economic growth so that all Oregonians in every single community in this state can thrive. Once officially open to commuters and truckers, the Newburgh-Dundee bypass is expected to reduce overall local area traffic by 30 to 40%. That's a good thing. Yay. And for heavy truck traffic, ODOT estimates the reduction will be between 50 and 75%, and that's also a very good thing. It means goods can get to market quicker, and it reduces the time commercial diesel trucks spend idling in traffic, which of course helps reduce harmful diesel emissions. Yeah, that's a good thing too. The project was made possible by $190 million from the Jobs and Transportation Act, along with some federal funding. There are two state senators that are here today, I should say former state senators, that were in the legislature at the time this happened and were crucial to making it happen. I saw former Senator Bruce Starr earlier. Let's give him a round of applause. And of course, Senator Larry George had a lot of skin in the game as well. Let's give him a round of applause. I also have to say it's the local contribution that really helped carry phase one of the project over the finish line. So thanks to our local partners. That includes investments from the cities of Newburgh, Dundee, McMinnville, as well as Yamhill County, and the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. Thank you very much. And so, of course, phase one is only the beginning. And thanks to the bipartisan efforts this last legislative session, we were able to pass Oregon's largest investment in transportation. That includes $22 million for phase two of the next part of the project. Yes. I truly believe that a well-managed transportation system is the backbone of a thriving Oregon economy. Good, safe roads allow the statewide economy to flow efficiently, keeping costs down and sustaining jobs. These investments, of course, also reduce congestion and will support a strong business sector that Oregon needs to keep our economic engines humming. Thank you so much, and I'm going to turn it back over. Oops, I forgot an announcement. We were going to announce the opening date. How does January 6th sound? Does that sound okay? There you go. Back to Matt Garrett.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate that date. That's good to know. And I appreciate the governor acknowledging, I already knew. I
verified it with him.
Yeah,
Oops.
I appreciate the governor mentioning the contractors. I think that's very important. We did break the project down into three significant sections, and as she mentioned, the good folks in Hamilton Construction dealt with the Dundee section, Wildest Construction, the Newburgh section, and K&E did the work at the Springbrook Road section interchange area as well. I would also like to mention the many subcontractors and the consulting contractors that played key roles over the course of the project as we developed it and as we delivered it. So I would ask those good folks to raise their hands. I want to give them applause for their hard work. Anybody who has a fingerprint on it, sub, prime, please raise your hand. All those good-looking guys in the yellow vests, well done. I want to turn our attention now to our federal partners here, and we have the privilege of having 3 representatives from our federal delegation. Our first speaker is Ree Armitage from U.S. Senator Ron Wyden's office. Ree.
Honored to be with you today on behalf of Senator Wyden. I have a letter to read from him. Dear fellow Oregonians, good afternoon on a wonderful day in Newburgh. While I cannot join you today, I did not want to miss the opportunity to highlight this milestone, the long anticipated end of Phase 1 of this essential project for Yamhill County and all of Oregon. The success of Oregon's booming wine country and the increased traffic that comes with it means the Newburgh-Dundee bypass is more needed than ever to make this area more safe and less seriously congested. If you don't believe me, just ask anyone trying to go wine tasting or driving to the beautiful Oregon coast during the summer. We've been waiting a long time for this day to come. The idea that this project will reduce existing traffic in Newburgh by 20% and in Dundee by as much as 40% should bring a collective sigh of relief through all of Yamhill County. By adding 2 lanes to this highway, people will be able to travel through rural Oregon more safely without gridlock, all while creating a better quality of life for residents with less noise and improved air quality. I am proud to have made sure the federal government was one of the many partners on this project, along with Governor Brown, ODOT, and the communities of Newburgh, Dundee, McMinnville, Yamhill County, and the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. A project like this does not succeed without local commitment and a lot of hard work and perseverance. I want to make a special recognition of Dave Haugeberg and the Parkway Committee for their mere 25 years of hard work that got us here. All of you should be very proud of their commitment to this community. Congratulations to all of you on making this project a reality, and I very much look forward to driving on this bypass myself very soon. Sincerely, Ron Wyden, United States Senator.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Stacy Jochimson. She is with U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley's office. Stacy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Senator Merkley is sorry that he can't be here today, but it's my distinct pleasure to read a statement that he wrote on his behalf. So thank you all for coming out today to celebrate this incredible milestone, the grand opening of the first phase of the long-awaited Newburgh-Dundee bypass. For the past 4 years, I've been proud to work alongside passionate local leaders and advocates to help recruit funding for a project that will have tremendous impact on the efficiency of Oregon's transportation system, our environment, and the lives of our residents for years to come. With this new stretch of expressway, we will reach the first of our goals, significantly reducing truck and commuter traffic on State Highway 99 West, allowing Newburgh and Dundee to get their main streets back. This is a high-impact transportation investment that will lead to more livable communities. As we look ahead to the next phase of the project, I will continue to work with all of you to help secure the funding needed to build the full bypass, ease traffic congestion, and improve the quality of life in our communities for future generations. Thank you all.
And batting cleanup from our federal delegation is Felicia Haggerty from Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici's office.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here on behalf of the Congresswoman. I'll also be reading a letter from her. Dear friends, congratulations to the entire Yamhill County community on the ribbon-cutting celebration for the Newburgh-Dundee Bypass Phase 1. This is a time of celebration, but also a time to recommit to the completion of this project, which has been several decades in the making. As Yamhill County's representative in the U.S. House, I am thrilled by the progress on the bypass. I'm hopeful that Phase 2 can go to construction soon and be completed quickly, bolstered by resources provided by Governor Brown and the Oregon Legislature and the passage of the State Transportation Package earlier this year. In 2015, Congress passed the FAST Act, a bipartisan federal transportation package that authorized capital investment grants through fiscal year 2020. The overall significance of Highway 99 and the Newburgh-Dundee bypass to the economy of Western Oregon inspired me to include in the FAST Act a designation of the bypass as a national high priority. This designation makes the bypass eligible for additional federal funds. The Newburgh-Dundee bypass has been a long-time collaborative effort that has received federal, state, local, and tribal support. The bypass would not have been possible without many visionaries and decades of advocacy and support from Yamhill County, local cities, the Oregon Legislature, the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde, and Dave Haugeberg and the dedicated members of the Parkway Committee. This wise investment highlights the importance of transportation investment in smaller communities, especially semi-rural communities like Yamhill County that rely on agritourism. The bypass will improve safety and significantly enhance livability of the region. It has already created jobs and boosted the local economy. In Congress, I am committed to working to secure the resources necessary to finance and build transportation infrastructure projects like the Newburgh-Dundee bypass. I am eager to see the benefits this bypass will bring to the region, and I look forward to being here for the celebration of the completion of Phase 2. Congratulations again. Sincerely, Suzanne Bonamici, Member of Congress.
Thank you very much, and please thank your bosses for us. Thank you. So we're going to turn from the Federal House to the State House, and I would ask you to welcome to the podium State Representative Mike Neerman.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. And so I'm Mike Neerman, State Representative from House District 23. But nobody knows where House District 23 is. So I started using a shorthand thing. I say, I'm the State Representative from 99W. And everybody knows where I'm from then. So that's why I'm here today, is my district's heavily impacted by this. So this project's a great example of what a transportation project is meant to be, and I'm happy to support it. So this project is about safety. It's about getting traffic through urban areas of 99W and make these areas safer. And that means a mom traveling through Newburgh with her kids won't have to compete with freight trucks to change lanes. This project is about convenience and efficiency. Did you know about half the traffic on 99W in Newburgh and Dundee is through traffic? This new capacity will get traffic through faster, safer, and more efficiently, and leave local roads for local traffic. This project is about the environment. Trucks and cars trapped in traffic jams all get the exact same fuel mileage, and that's 0. Moving traffic more efficiently means fewer emissions and a smaller carbon footprint. This road will benefit all Oregonians in the region. It'll benefit Portlanders going to casinos and wineries on the coast, as well as people from Dallas, McMinnville, Sheridan, and Dayton. It will benefit both trucks and cars. It'll benefit both commerce and livability. And on game day, it'll benefit both ducks and beavers. This is a great day for Oregon and a great day for the region, and I look forward to coming back here to celebrate future phases. So let's press on to Wilsonville.
Thank you, Representative. Following Representative Neerman is his colleague, State Representative Rob Noble.
All right.
Sir. Thank you.
See if I can help reduce the feedback. So what an amazing turnout. I think, well, I'm just going to go back. Mike mentioned that nobody knows where District 23 is. I'm District 24, which is just north of him. And it begins just down the road here. What an amazing turnout for a great day. We have, in this state, made an investment. And right now you're standing and sitting on it. And there's nothing better than some asphalt and concrete as proof that we actually can get stuff done. One of the things I want to reiterate is in this state, and this hasn't always been the case, but I think we can all be proud, this is on time and under budget. And that's a big deal because that money is also the savings from this phase 1 is going to phase 2, in addition to the $22 million that we authorized in the legislature this last year. So we have more work to do. And as great as this day is, we still have phase 2 and phase 3. And that's really important to keep in the front of our minds, because I've seen other projects where we run out of money, or we run out of the desire to finish the project. And I think we need to keep that in front of us. We are going to make headway in phase 2. And then after that, Mayor, we're going to head down to McMinnville. And we're going to continue Highway 18 from south of McMinnville all the way to Rex Hill. So it's a great start. Director Garrett, thank you, and your staff for all the work. And I'm going to say that as a former ODOT employee who worked on some projects like 205, and which is a good project, Eddyville, which is not as good a project, but this is a great day. So thank you very much. Thank you all for being here.
Personally, I believe Eddyville is a great project. It's just me. So as was mentioned earlier, local support was critical to the entire life of this project. So with that, I'd like to ask Yamhill County Commissioner Stan Primovic to come forward. Stan.
Well, all I can do is reiterate what's been said already. This is a great turnout for a great project. I'm very pleased to be here. Our two representatives said nobody knows where their places are. Everybody knows where Yamhill County is. So I feel sorry for you guys. This is a fantastic project, and Dave Haugeberg's name's been mentioned a couple of times already. I'm going to throw out the idea that this should be the Haugeberg bypass. He has at least 29 and a half years into this, at least, and this is the result of a lot of work by a lot of people. The Parkway Committee, which I have the honor to serve on, is a part of that. And I really want to thank the governor for being here and recognizing the fact we can't stop here. And our delegation from Washington, D.C., you need to let your bosses know that we definitely need more funding to finish this. The $22 million was welcomed dearly. If it does anything, it says that the state still has a commitment to this project. So we need to make sure that we don't let that go wasted. I just want to thank you again for being here, and we just want you to know that this bypass is going to be something we can all look back on and say, I was a part of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now I want to introduce a trio of mayors. They have asked to come up here together, so I would ask Mayor Bob Andrews of Newburgh, Mayor David Russ of Dundee, and Mayor Scott Hill of McMinnville to come forward. Thank you, gentlemen.
Governor Brown, Director Garrett, Representative Noble, Representative Neerman, members of the Parkway Committee, you know who you are, our friends and our guests. I appreciate the invitation and the honor to be able to participate in this historic celebration that we have on the completion of the first phase of the Newburgh-Dundee bypass. We are witness to the realization of a vision that has been pursued with persistence and patience for many years, in fact, I may say many decades, a vision of a bypass around Newburgh and Dundee. This incredible project is the first phase, we hope, of a return of Newburgh streets to the people of Newburgh. The citizens of Newburgh will be the beneficiaries. There will be a rebirth of Newburgh's downtown area, which is in the making in our downtown master planning process that's going on right now. A few of the benefits are a downtown, which is a special place for people to shop and enjoy. A safer place for pedestrians and local vehicular traffic. A profound reduction in noise and air pollution with 700 fewer large trucks. A downtown that will experience 20% less traffic. a projected 50% reduction in travel time for traffic through Newburgh-Dundee, with the potential of the peak travel savings of being greater than 50%, and a positive transformation of the livability of our downtown. Additionally, we recognize that we, Newburgh-Dundee, do not exist in a vacuum. In fact, we're part of a vital link in our region's infrastructure, a regional travel shed, if you will. This bypass we're celebrating today is a win-win for our local communities and the region as a whole. An unmeasurable benefit is the ability of this project to sustain the impact of a major earthquake and continue to be a vital link in our regional infrastructure, a critical issue for us and for the Central Oregon coast. There's an old adage that a rising tide raises all boats. The completion of this first phase of the Newburgh-Dundee bypass is that tide. We get our downtown back. The region gets a far safer and more efficient corridor for the movement of commerce, tourists, and the traveling public. We look forward to the completion of phase 2 of this bypass with the complete return of our downtown and the benefits and opportunities that will result. In closing, I want to express a sincere thank you for the support of our congressional delegation, for the legislative foresight of our Oregon legislature. The city is appreciative to all who have participated in this project for their vision and contributions to the first phase of the bypass and for their dedication to the future of this project. The city and the overall community are the beneficiaries. May the tide continue to rise and may the horizon remain calm. Thank you.
Well, I'm really honored and thankful to be a part of this event today. There's been so many people that have put so much into this, and we've acknowledged a bunch of heavy hitters here from the state and the federal government. Dave Haugeberg helping with the Parkway Committee for all these years. But there's a lot of people who have touched this project for days, months, or a couple years and carried that torch with all their heart and soul. And I believe a lot of those people, if they hadn't been a part of this, we may not be here today. And those people are important and need some thanks too. Let's give it to them. So this bypass ushers in a new beginning for the city of Dundee. ODOT is currently also working on a streetscape project for us in our downtown, and the synergy between these two projects will be a big turning point for Dundee, for commerce and tourism, and just overall growth and support of our community. In one fell swoop, we will be reducing traffic, improving the look, and reducing barriers to development in our downtown area. We've got people just waiting to come in and waiting for this project to finish. And as we increase our population through the addition of approximately 300 housing units on the Riverside District in Dundee, this bypass will help ensure that our residents have safe, reliable, and expedient access to jobs and commerce outside of Yamhill County. As great as all this is, there is still more to do, and the stretch of road will not be able to serve its full potential until it's connected from Rexhill to McDougall Junction. And it's up to all of us to help it get there. And we expect that you'll help, and it'll take more than fully committed people and more people with the short term carrying that torch for a couple hours or a couple months or a couple days or a year. So step forward and find out how you can help, and encourage your friends and family to do the same. Together we can build safe roads and a bright future for all of Yamhill County.
What a pleasure it is for me to represent McMinnville here today. As I look at this project, I look at this as a grassroots starting 30 years ago. And what a win it is to have citizens coming together and building partnerships among cities, the county, state, and federal. I mean, that is a real win for the way government and projects ought to move forward. And today, we're sitting on the Parkway, and on the 6th, it will be opened. So I think we congratulate one another. We've all had a part and a piece of this. In McMinnville, we've had mayors, we've had city council, and we've had the opportunity to have a Dave Haugeberg in our community that have helped us to get to where we are today. Now for McMinnville, what we're going to be able to realize from this is the lack of longer lines that seem to grow every month. Our citizens are going to be able to go north and come back into our community faster, more efficiently. It also is going to allow those in the state of Oregon that want to come to the heart of wine country, okay? And that is taking off in a big way. And this is going to help relieve traffic and congestion and allow people to come to us here in Yamhill County. It also allows people to go through us to the coast and to Grand Ronde. Well, I look at this phase 1 as the Newburgh and Dundee phase. I look at phase 2 as the Newburgh phase, and I'm here to say phase 3 is to help McMinnville and the tribe. And we will be supportive, and we will be working hand in hand with all of our partners to make sure that continues. So again, thank you at the federal level. We've met with your bosses and they've listened. At the state level, and we've been down there many, many days. And then the bypass many days of this year, okay? And more importantly, those members of the bypass committee that are committed to taking this to the end, all the way from Rex Hill to McDougall Corner. So thank you, and from McMinnville, thanks everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your thoughts and counsel. As was mentioned, a critical partner in today's success is the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. So please join me in welcoming Chris Mercier, Vice Chair of the Grand Ronde Tribal Council.
Well, I'm not going to lie. It felt really cool to put my pickup on this road as I was driving up here. This is pretty personal for me, not just because I do night classes at Lewis and Clark and I drive this way all the time, but it's also personal for me because I got involved with the Newburgh-Dundee Bypass Committee when I was 29 years old, and I think I was 6 months into my council career over in Grand Ronde. And I'm not gonna lie, I knew very little about transportation issues. I knew very little about how local governments function. I did not know I would be involved in the time commitment that was involved with it, and I'm thankful for it. But just being part of this whole project and process has been a learning experience for me. And now I'm 42 years old, and I no longer am involved with the committee. I did want to acknowledge my coworkers, Denise Harvey, who's sitting in the front here. She, with her very cute family member there, and John George, who, oh, he's in the back, and he helped me drum as well. So what was great about being involved with this project is I got the sense that people really, really appreciated the tribe's involvement. And I can't speak to the degree to which other tribes are involved with their local governments, but I just got the feeling it really meant a lot to people, and that in turn meant a lot to the tribe. A lot of people don't know this, but the tribe was restored, of course, to try and help improve the lives of its members. But that's not the only reason the tribe was restored, and it's not the only reason tribes have been given the opportunity to engage in gaming and have casinos. They are also meant to help benefit the communities in which they reside. And a lot of people don't know that, but when our tribe was restored, the restoration effort began in the early 70s, and we were restored in 1983. We had a lot of support from the non-tribal local community, and I don't think that gets enough acknowledgement sometimes, because it probably would have been our process of getting restored would have been much harder if we did not have the support of the local community. And so I look at this project as it's not just a win for the state and local governments and in the community. It's a win for Indian country as well, because it demonstrates the way that tribes can enter into these partnerships and help benefit their communities. And I'm hoping that it'll be held out as an example, because I think tribes should be working more with their local governments and their state governments. Tribes have their own issues, but gaming is meant to benefit the community, and a lot of tribal governments are big employers in the regions in which they reside, so they are part of that community. So there's been a lot of comments made, especially by Mayor Andrews, about a rising tide and about the intergovernmental work. And that is what I like to think is how Grand Ronde has benefited from this. I know that I've forged some pretty good friendships due to this project and my work involved in it, and especially with Dave. And I'm not going to say he's brilliant because he's a duck, but
I'm a wildcat.
yeah, okay. But it's rare have I seen one person just so driven to make something happen. And really, I'm glad that he's going after me, because he deserves a lot of the credit for that. And I just want to say that I do remember when the tribe made their financial commitment to the project. I was having coffee with Dave and Mike Ragsdale at the Red Fox Bakery in McMinnville, and I was there with our attorney, Rob Green, and he's the one who made the suggestion about how we make that financial contribution, and I think just he deserves some credit for that, because it definitely wasn't my idea, and it was a pivotal point in this project. So I did want to give Rob credit for that. And I just wanted to thank you all for coming out here, and I'm so glad that the date is January 6th, because classes start on January 8th. So. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it should be obvious by now that today we're celebrating the completion of this phase of the Newburgh-Dundee bypass because of the partnerships, the relationships that have been built and have endured over decades. So we stand on broad shoulders of those that have come before us, and there's little question, and I truly appreciate Governor Brown mentioning Senator Starr and Senator George. There's probably another individual, Senator Rick Metzger. I actually received an email from him last night congratulating the good folks of Newburgh-Dundee on this special day. But those three gentlemen and the conversation and their vision and leadership probably were the linchpin of not only this project, but also that significant transportation bill back in 2009. But we also stand on the shoulders of those here today. Our final speaker is someone who may have the broadest shoulders of all of us, someone who has played indeed a critical role of making this bypass, or this phase of the bypass, happen. Please welcome Dave Haugeberg, Chair of the Yamhill County Parkway Committee. David.
Welcome to all of you, and to an incredible day to our governor, to Representative Neerman, Representative Noble, all the other elected officials that are here, our congressional delegation, for helping make something enormously important happen. And then, welcome to all of you. The point was made, this project happened because of hundreds and thousands of people throughout this region that had a vision, that realized that if they wanted something done and they came together, give me 10 stout-hearted people and I'll give you 10,000 more, and that's all the rest of you. And so we're incredibly indebted to you. Today really is an incredible day, a day 29 years in the making. In fact, in 1988, I was attending an event at the McMinnville airport, and then Congressman Les Coyne afterwards asked me, he said, "So Dave, what do you think is the greatest challenge, the greatest issue facing this region?" And I said, "I believe it's transportation." At that time, Highway 99W was already becoming congested, and we could see the impacts in Newburgh and Dundee. And I said, in 20 years, Newburgh and Dundee will be a parking lot. And so it is. What it does is it impacts critically our region's access to I-5, to the metropolitan region, and our ability of our region to thrive from an economic standpoint. So we began discussions about how to address that problem. And on December 14th, 1988, now who's counting, but that's 29 years and 4 days ago, the Parkway Committee had its first meeting. And as we started talking about the incredible challenges, opportunities, and difficulties of trying to create a transportation solution to a very difficult problem, Mary Hill, you're exactly right. And one of the things we knew is that if when we sat down together, everybody wanted it their own way, nobody would end up with anything. And it was that spirit that you said, Mary Hill, of you can't build all of everybody's idea of what's the most important piece of a bypass, which phase first. It was that willingness to sit down and talk about relative benefits and agree on which parts happen first. And that took a lot of give and take. And that's what it's all about, to make a partnership work, looking out for everybody else as well as yourself. Well, as that partnership developed, we knew that it needed a lot more. And so we went to ODOT, to the chair and to the Transportation Commission, and to people like Chair Bainey, who's the chair currently of the Transportation Committee. We talked to ODOT, we talked to the governor's office, we talked to our congressional delegation, our local legislators, and out of that, we came up with a way to move forward. Now, what I can tell you is that we were advised of the incredible challenges facing a project of this magnitude. And when you think about it, we were aware of the enormous environmental impacts and issues, the land use issues, the location, where would it go? And then how would you fund it? How would you come up with what at that time was an incredible amount of money, something like almost $80 million? We should have built it then. But, in fact, I think a long time ago they could have, but whatever. What I will tell you, though, is that as a part of that partnership and to address some of those issues, I want to start with Senator Wyden's office. And I will have to tell you that Senator Wyden and his staff for 21 years have been an absolute challenge and a leader in helping us move this forward on the federal level. And it was his leadership with the rest of the delegation that got us the major amount of money, $23 or $4 million many years ago, that provided the funds for preliminary design, engineering, and more importantly, the right-of-way issues that dealt with the federal environmental studies, the EIS, if you will. And it was that critical part that moved us forward to where we could then build again. Senator Merkley's office. Senator Merkley has worked tirelessly for us also in DC on how to address and to achieve funding on the federal level. But one of the important things we don't all recognize is that Senator Merkley was in the legislature in 2009 when the JT Act was passed that provided funding for this project. And I think it's incredibly important, and I will talk about others that helped make that happen. But to Senator Merkley, a key part of that. Suzanne Bonamici. Congresswoman Bonamici has been a continuous, incredible commitment to this project. You heard about the fast lane work that she did with Congress, the work she's done back there on every issue to get funding for this project. She also was in the Oregon legislature in 2009, was a key part of the JTA. And those are the dollars, again, that $192 million that brought us here together. All part of a partnership that's been on and on for a long time. And then when we talk about that, I want to take a moment and talk about a new partner to this project. It takes a governor with a vision for transportation, a vision to move the state forward and to build the kinds of facilities that you need for commerce, for industry. It doesn't happen if the governor is not in sport. Great credit in this last legislature for House Bill 2017 that provides $5 billion for Oregon transportation across the state of Oregon. You have to give credit for the people in the legislature that were there and did a lot of heavy lifting to make it happen, and we'll get to that. But many of you don't know, and you should know, that as a part of that whole bill, there were a lot of people, a lot of projects across the state of Oregon that wanted a lot of money. And it was an enormously complicated, high-pressure, right down to the wire discussions about would we have $22 million for phase 2. And I know, and not everybody does, of the background and the backroom discussions and conversations and how Governor Brown stood fast on the fact that this project would get $22 million for that phase, and we owe her a great deal of gratitude. Governor, thank you. As a part of that bill, also credit to the people that worked very hard on putting that together, and I know that it was a difficult choice and how you made that happen, but Representative Noble voted in favor of that bill. Not an easy thing for a Republican freshman legislator to vote for a $5 billion worth of taxes. But I had a conversation about him and I said, so what do you think? And he said, David, I want to tell you one very important thing. I did not come to Salem, Oregon to get reelected. I came to Salem, Oregon to get something done, and this project, this job, that next phase was a key part of his legislative commitment, and so we are in his debt. Thank you. Several of you, and Director Garrett and others, have mentioned about some members of that Joint Transportation Act in 2009, one of whom was one of the key architects of that bill, then Senator Bruce Starr, and we worked a lot with him, and he was a key architect, and we're in his debt for having put that bill together. But I will also tell you then that the committee will never forget or be able to adequately express our appreciation for the work, the commitment to this region, to this transportation project of Senator Larry George. Larry George was an integral part of our getting that $192 million. I recall at the groundbreaking, he commented, he says, that Haugeberg was just beating me up something terrible for money and $192 million. But I have to tell you, he did that because he's an incredible supporter of this region and transportation, and we are in his debt. You know, one of the challenges of having an opportunity to thank people is you just cringe about who you won't thank. But and you know, so I'm going to repeat a couple of things. One of them is the credit that really does go to the people of Newburgh, Dundee, McMinnville, Yamhill County, and the Confederated Tribes. And we talk about the $20 million that they put up to make this phase go forward. But you didn't, and you weren't at the meetings, for example, of the city of McMinnville when they talked about putting up their many millions of dollars for this project. And that conversation was about what were they giving up in terms of their local roads, the local improvements, the things they needed for resurfacing of roads. And I listened to that conversation. And so it wasn't just like, well, here's some money because we're getting new money. They paid a price for that money. And they did it, and they voted unanimously. Every one of those cities and counties, commissioners, all of them voted unanimously to do it. But that was an incredible commitment on that and what they gave up. And we are in debt of all of those people that were on the city council, the commissioners, and the members of the Confederated Tribes Council that made a decision that this was something that was so important, they'd give up something of theirs for something for everybody. So a great congratulations. You know, we have to really thank our partner. When I came in, Director Garrett and I talked just briefly about, you know, what kind of a study this would take if you talked about a partnership between local entities, state and federal, but think of the partnership that has resulted from this project between the locals, the region, and the Department of Transportation. I would suggest it is probably, if not unique, close to it, to have the kind of trust, the confidence, and the relationship we've developed. I can tell you that there were times when Director Garrett told me, David, it isn't going to happen. We just cannot figure out a way to come up. The funding is not there to move you forward, and we don't know where to go get it, but good luck. And you know what? The people of this region never gave up. They never tired. They never quit. However, I will tell you that it was that indomitable will, the will of the Parkway Committee and the people of these communities in this region, that moved it forward. And it reminded me of a story I read once about the Oregon Trail. And there was a wagon train going across the Oregon Trail. They got up one morning, they were mired in mud, through an incredible effort all day, everybody pulling and pushing their wagons, their neighbors' wagons, they finally made it up to the top of a ridge. And at dark, they looked back when they stopped for the day, and they'd gone 400 yards, a quarter of a mile, on a journey of 2,000 miles. It was that indomitable spirit that they had, the same spirit that we have had locally in your Parkway Committee, that's got us to where we are today. And then there's a couple of organizations that typify what all of us were about. The Chehalem Valley Chamber of Commerce, the McMinnville Area Chamber of Commerce, have a combined membership of about 900 members with 16,000 jobs in those members. Throughout this process, when we were looking for support, they were always there. When we needed letters, they always provided the letters. Heaven only helped how many times they said, yet another group of letters on the state and local and federal. How many times they answered the call to send people to Salem to lobby in support of this project with the legislators, to make phone calls. I will tell you that they never quit. They never said no. They never failed to act when we needed their support. So when you talk about it being a support that was for the whole region and for those, and that is only one example of all of our partners and local ones. And you will see on your program a special thanks to a lot of local entities, and every one of those were just the same as our two partners, the chambers. And then there's our Parkway Committee. I don't know how you how do you describe a group of people that just don't have a reverse gear. They don't. They just never quit. They never gave up. They always persevered. And I thought that it's a lot of people, but I thought all of you ought to know who the current members of the Parkway Committee, and there have been a great number before this group, but they deserve the kind of recognition after what they have done for an incredible job. And so I'm going to read their names, and if they're already standing, fine, raise your hand. If you're out here, please stand and be recognized. Bob Andrews. Hold your applause, and we'll get to that at the end. Brett Baker. I know Brett's here. Ted Crawford. Back there, Scott Essen. Scott. Denise Harvey. And my darling young her committee intern. At the last Parkway Committee, I have to tell you, she came in late, and we'd eaten all the donuts, and she didn't get a donut. It was, that will never happen again, darling. I promise. I will bring an extra dozen. Scott Hill. Kelly Menke. Yvonne Miller. Mike Ragsdale. Mike, I would mention, is also a former state representative, state senator, and head of JPAC. David Russ. Jim Snell. Kurt Walker. I know Kurt's here. Stan Primazich. Rick Olson. Leslie Lewis. And then, are there other past members of the committee that are here that weren't named? Please raise your hand and let's acknowledge the incredible contribution of these people. And then the Parkway Committee has had 2 ad hoc members throughout its whole term. That is Ken and Joanne Austin. I will tell you that from the very beginning, I talked to them so many times, but whenever we needed a letter, a phone call, whenever we needed them to go to Salem and to go to Washington, D.C., which they did on our behalf, they were always there for us. When we broke ground, as Director Garrett mentioned, Joanne Austin was here with us, as was Ken. Since then, Joanne has passed away. We lost a great friend. But I would like you all to recognize, and Ken's not here, but Brett is here on his behalf, Brett Baker. I would like all of us to recognize Ken Austin. And to remember our dear friend, Joanne. I can tell you now, Joanne's looking down and said, "We did it!" She was enthusiastic, and she would have thought that. As I listened today to the drum song, I thought about those who were here before us, who walked the ancient trails that provided the transportation routes through this region. They were the forefathers of our brothers and sisters of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, our special friends and partner. If they were to walk on this, our Parkway today, I believe they would be pleased with how this incredible accomplishment has enhanced their trail. And finally, to you, to the people of Yamhill County and the region, we give you your bypass. You never, never, never quit. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
David, thank you. Very eloquent way to wrap things up. So what do you say we cut a ribbon? Okay, but I would ask the dignitaries to gather right here to my left. We'll go cut a ribbon and wrap this thing up. I'd also ask Mr. Starr and Mr. George to come forward and be part of that. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
It is sharp and it actually does cut. So
Okay.
you guys want
I
to
would
get in
love
here.
it, you guys. There's plenty of room for the handles.
You guys can put hands on the handles. Yep. Yep. Just don't put your hand
On the
some of
scissor.
it's helpful,
Where's
right?
Dave? Come on, Dave.
Thomas, give me a
Okay.
little tension here, big guy.
Okay,
Okay,
I
on
gotta get-
three. 1, 2, 3.
I can't really give these to you.
I had more tape if we didn't do it together. No, that's it.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. Thank
Folks,
you very
thank
much,
you very much.
everybody. Governor, thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you so much. Thank you, Representative.